What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Netflix new miniseries American Primeval. Let's rock this. If you've seen the trailer for this show and you thought, wow, that looks good, that kind of reminds me of that 2015 Leonardo DiCaprio movie The Revenant. Well, guess what? That's because American Primeval was indeed written by the same exact screenwriter. But I'll describe it this way. American Primeval is like The Revenant meets Dances with Wolves meets Dead Wood. So if you are into that gritty Western American frontier epic, then trust me, I have already watched the entire 6 episodes and you are in for a hell of a treat. Now, I mentioned the word gritty, right? Well, to add to that, American Primeval is also cinematic, it's compelling, it's raw, it's visceral. The way it captures the harsh living conditions of the Old West, where religion and government and Native Americans collide, is both beautiful and brutal. Having said that, I don't think this show is gonna sit well with the Mormon audiences, who typically don't like to be reminded of their faith's murky past. But to me, American Primeval is more of a critique of what could happen when you mix religion, any form of religion, with mankind's incessant need for power and control. Directed by Peter Berg and written by Mark L. Smith. In American Primeval, this is America 1857. Up is down, pain is everywhere, innocence and tranquility are losing the battle to hatred and fear. Peace is the shrinking minority, and very few possess grace. Even fewer know compassion. There is no safe haven in these brutal lands, and only one goal matters: survival. Starring Taylor Kitsch, Betty Gilpin, Dane DeHaan, Joe Tippett, Jai Courtney, and Shea Whigham. Now, okay, so have any of you read author Jon Krakauer's book, Under the Banner of Heaven? Well, this show is not actually based on that. But I read that book many years ago, and in it, he chronicled the true violent story behind the religion Mormons, aka Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the book also mentioned the infamous Mountains Meadows Massacre. Well, American Primeval's first episode does an outstanding job of staging that horrific, tragic event right before the story then diverges into its cast ensemble nature. Right from the very first shot where Betty Gilpin and her character's son are waiting at that train station, everything about this show just immediately transported you to the 1800s, and not in a polished, romanticized way either. The sets and the visuals on this show really go for those unflinching, ruthless landscapes, and the uncomfortable realism just burns through the screen in every frame. The massacre scene will probably be the most talked about out of the entire show, understandably so. And director Peter Berg, whose previous films I've admired for quite some time, handled it masterfully. That whole entire sequence is chaotic, but very well orchestrated, as if Berg is the main calm eye at the center of the storm. And Berg, who directed all of the episodes, maintained that tone and approach and filmmaking style from beginning to end, with a camera work that moves with such hypnotic fluidity, consistently following the characters' tumultuous emotional, physical, and vicious circumstances. I love period pieces that go all out in terms of authenticity. And when it comes to the costumes, the production designs, the hair and makeup, and also the dialogues in the script, especially the way it captures how people talk back then, American Primeval unleashes all arsenal just to look and feel and sound genuine, as if the actors live, breathe, eat, and shit the Old West. One location would be all muddy and dirty and dusty, while another location would be spacious and gorgeous and breathtaking, and another location looks perilous and screams out, "Why the hell would you ever want to move here?" Now, does the show have some minor flaws? Yes, it does. Out of the few subplots that it takes you through from episode 2 onward, my least favorite is the search for the missing wife, featuring Dane DeHaan, who plays the stubborn, religious, naive husband who's also a victim of the massacre. It is the most underwhelming plot, and it gets to a point where they basically drop Dane DeHaan, meaning they don't know what to do with his character anymore beyond that. which is a shame really because Dane DeHaan is such an underrated actor who no longer shines as often as he deserves these days. The one where Brigham Young tries to buy out an establishment is amusing because as opposed to on-screen violence, this is where we get to see two butting heads trying to outsmart, outwit, and ultimately outbid one another through nasty verbal jabs. Shea Wiggum's character may be a hillbilly businessman with limited colorful vocabulary, but he is a tricky, cheeky bastard, and his views on politics and religion is a smashingly clever representation of today's perspectives on those same things. Which brings us to Taylor Kitsch and Betty Gilpin. The review embargo lifts on the same exact night as this show's premiere, so you can see for yourself this grand journey of trying to help a woman and her kid get to their point of destination. A rather formulaic plot, I would argue. Even Taylor's character arc is predictable, but much of it I think is very well executed. Taylor, who is one of director Peter Berg's go-to actors, definitely embodies that old-fashioned testosterone John Wayne hero persona, and while Betty Gilpin's character is your stereotypical damsel in distress, Betty's committed and intense performance also gives her a bit of a captivating strength that's admirable. The show's casting of Native American actors to play even some of the more controversial supporting roles is also worthy of high praise, and those actors' involvement makes their tribal story even more nuanced than expected. Which leads us to the million-dollar question. Does this show make the Mormons look bad? Well, I think that's a question that only the Mormons can answer, isn't it? They probably will have some complaints about it, but you know what? Show me a religion today that doesn't have their share of sin. They all did. Some still do. And as I implied earlier, to me, American Primeval speaks more to the broader, thought-provoking notion of what happens when religion gets perverted in the name of power. Then that religion is no different than any other gangster, mafia, cartel, or organized crime that has been running every other country on earth. So yeah, overall I give American Primeval the rating of 4 out of 5. It's not a perfect miniseries, but it's a really damn good one, and very well put together. It's a riveting, ambitious show about the tests of humans' resolute perseverance.